everybody. You've already done with Miss Garcia. She showed you how to y equals mx plus b. Then I showed you about how you can look at a graph and pull the equation from the graph. Then Mr. Nelson showed you special cases. Now we're going to take the equation and graph it. You say, what? So what we're saying here is, hey, I have an equation here. Y equals 1/2 x plus 3. And just like before where we pulled the things in, we're going to take them out like Miss Garcia did in the first set of this unit. So we say m, well, m is the coefficient of x. We see m is 1/2. So we're going to put it equals 1/2. And then we can see b is 3, right? So we have m and b. Well, we've been talking about this. B is the y-intercept. And so that means b is actually the point 0, 3. So to graph, we can't just start with the slope because where would we start? We wouldn't know. We have to start somewhere, and where we start is at the y-intercept because we know that. We know the y-intercept is 3, which means we're going to 0, 1, 2, 3. Here's where we start our equation. Now next, our slope is 1/2, so our rise is 1 and our run is 2. These are both positive, so it's going to be a positive rise of 1 and run of 2. And now you got to do it more than once. Some people will try to just do it a couple times. I want you to practice doing it all the way through your graph so that you have a nice straight line and that you're practicing the slope. So again, rise 1, run 2, rise 1, run 2, rise 1, run 2, rise 1, run 2. And if at any point your line starts doing this, you know you messed up, right? Because you know that this is linear, meaning a straight line. Now the hard part of this is, if to rise 1 and run 2 is to go this way, we also have to know how to go fill out this way. Well, guess what? The opposite of 1 over 2 is -1 over -2. Some people say, well, that's different. Well, no, actually, a negative divided by a negative is still a positive. So what they're saying is, instead of going up 1 over 2, we want you to go down 1, -2. Is it on the same line? Sure is. Down 1, -2. All the way through because you need to practice doing this. And then you can put an arrow on both sides because we know that it continues. And then you're going to try to do the straightest line you can. Boom. And so that is the line. So we just taken an equation and given a visual representation of that. That's powerful stuff there. All right, so let's try another one. Go ahead and stop, take your graph paper out, and okay, I'm going to assume you did this. Again, the way I break this down is I know y equals mx plus b. That means I need m, and I need b, and b is my y-intercept. So m, in this case, is the coefficient in front of the x, which is -3, and b is 2. That means it's the y-intercept is 0, 2. So again, before I can put a graph, I can't just start doing a slope here or a slope there. I have to have some place to start. And where we start from is the y-intercept. So we're going to start at 0, 2. So that's our begin. And now our move is -3. Well, we need a rise over a run. All whole numbers can be written as fractions. So my rise is 3 and my run is 1. So I'm going to rise. How do I rise -3? I'm going down 1, 2, 3 and run 1. Rise -1, 2, 3, run 1. And keep on going all the way to the bottom. And so that looks like it's linear. Now I have to go the other way. Well, what's the opposite of -3? Well, that would be +3. What's the opposite of +1? That's -1. And so to go the other direction, I'm going to go rise 3, run -1. Rise 3. And you have to be able to go both ways. A lot of times the way they catch you on graphs is that they will put the point way up in the corner so you can't go positive. You have to go the opposite direction to see that you know how to do it. So there is our line. Again, we've taken the equation. We've done a visual representation of it. All right. Go ahead and try it. Okay, so I know y equals mx plus b. M equals the coefficient, which is 3, and b is, don't forget the -2, so b is -2, which is the point 0, -2. So that means where am I starting from? I'm starting from -2. Hopefully you've already done this in your graph. My slope is 3, which means that it's going to be 3 over 1 as a fraction. So I'm rising 3, 1, 2, 3, run 1. Rise 3, run 1. Rise 3, run 1. And the opposite of that would be -3, Negative divided by negative is still positive. Let's see if that works. I'm going to go down 3, negative 1. Down 3, negative 1. Can't go any further because it won't fit, so I'm done. Draw my line, try to keep it as straight as possible, and voila. And my slope is positive and my line is positive, so I think I'm on the right track. Uh-oh! Okay, let's see. Hopefully you tried this. Well, if you listened to the last unit that Mr. Nelson did, he talked about special cases. The two things we learned were hoy and bucks. Hoy and bucks. I like to write them down. If you're confused, write down hoy and then write down bucks. The reason why writing them down is so important is I can spot the tip in the word. Hoy has a Y in it and bucks has an X in it. Does this have a Y or an X? Hey, it has a Y. That means that this is horizontal and my slope is going to be 0. So I'm going to be starting at the 3, at the Y, 1, 2, 3, and it's horizontal, which means my slope will be 0. Now, if you want proof of that, I know Y equals mx plus b. Well, I don't see an X. The only way X would not be there is if m was 0, because 0 times anything is 0. And then where would I have my 3 from? It would be here. And guess what? I'd be starting at 3 and my slope would be 0. So this is just a cheat. When I see that I have one variable, I say it's a special case, which means it's going to either be a hoy or a bucks. Okay, I'm assuming you did this. Is this a hoy or a bucks? Well, let's write it down again. Hoy, bucks. Well, I don't have a Y, so it must not be a hoy. Oh, it must be a bucks. What the bucks? All right, so that means I'm going to be going, and this is vertical. Vertical means straight down. Undefined means no slope, right? And so I'm just going to the X. The X is 2, so where's X2? Oh, that's right here. And no slope is straight down, so I'm just going to draw a line straight up and straight down. If you know the secret way to do these actually can be super easy. Okay, who probably thought, oh, special case? No, it's not a special case. Why? Because it has a Y and an X. In order to be a hoy or a bucks, you need to either have a Y by itself or an X by itself. This doesn't have that. This has a Y and an X. It means it actually is written in slope-intercept form. It's just been simplified down. You say, how is that possible? Well, let's look. Y equals mx plus b. I wanted to move the graph over. Is it locked in place? No, it's not. Good. So, let's look at this equation. For this to fit there, I have a y, check. I have an equal, check. Do I have an m? Well, I have a negative sign there. How many x's do I have? Well, it's assumed that I have 1, so I have -1. I still have my x, check, check. But I don't have a b. Well, if I don't have a b, what's the only case that could be? That would be if it was 0. Everybody is, for instance, you're either 14 or 15 plus 0. But you don't go around telling people you're 14, 15 plus 0 because people look at you like you're crazy. We usually just don't write it. So now that I know that, even this is what I was given, since I don't have a y-intercept that they show, it must be 0, so therefore I must be starting at 0. And my slope is -1, so my y, let's go back to this, m is -1. That means my b is 0, which means it's the point. The y-intercept, is 0, 0. That's right there. And my slope is -1, which is -1 over 1. That means I'm rising -1, running 1. Rise -1, run. And all the way across, you need to practice. The opposite of that, opposite of -1 is 1. The opposite of +1 is -1. The opposite would be to go rise 1, run -1. I'm going to go all the way across, so it helps me draw a straight line. That was not a straight line. One of the funniest things that we will see as teachers is that kids will graph like 3 points, like this, and they think it's done, and then you'll see this kind of graph. You'll see, is that a line?
That's ugly.
Is that straight? No. You need to graph the additional points to make sure your line is nice and straight. Okay. That's it.